Hello, my name is Luisa Oliva Wolf, and I work for Community Progress Council. And today I will be talking about the CARES Rental Relief Program. The CARES Rent Relief Program was created as an emergency response to COVID-19 health pandemic to provide rental assistance to households experiencing job loss or substantial loss of income as a result of the current health crisis. This program is specifically designed for people who have lost 30% of their monthly income or more due to the coronavirus pandemic. The program has different parts to it. The first step is that the tenant or the lessee will have to create an application. You must complete the application in full. We will also need pay stubs that reflect the impact of COVID-19 on your income. Ideally, we would gather pay stubs from the beginning of the year until March 1st and pay stubs reflecting the reduction in income after March 1st. This is to show that your financial impact was from COVID-19. We will also need to see your unemployment letter to verify your payments. If you did not apply for unemployment, your median income must be under the area median income and have at least 30% of a loss in income in order to be eligible for assistance. We'll review the median income later. The second part of this application is a landlord application and property certification. Both of these documents must be completed by your landlord. The first is an application for them to complete, and the other is a document that certifies that the property is up to state standards. The landlord will also need to provide proof of ownership for the property. Additionally, we will need a lease and a third-party document proof of residency, like a utility bill. This program can provide up to $750 a month for the program. You could possibly get up to 6 months of assistance if it's deemed necessary. If your rent is higher than $750 a month, your landlord must agree to continue letting you be in the property without pursuing action against you. Now, let's review the application process. There are a couple of ways you can apply for the program. You can visit the PHFA website at phfa.org/PACares and access some information and application there. You can come to Community Progress Council's building on 226 East College Avenue. You can visit some other agencies in the community who have applications printed, or you can visit our website at yorkcpc.org. When you visit our website, the CARES Act Rent Relief Program is front page. You'll be able to click the blue bar to take you to a section where you would learn more about the program itself, and you would click to apply. This will pull up a PDF version of the application in which you'll be able to type right into the application. So as you can see here, we made this so it would be convenient for folks that were interested in applying for the program. So here are the 3 applications. The first, again, is the renter application. The second is the landlord application. And finally, the landlord property certification. I'll review these in detail in a second. Community Progress Council has also provided some guidelines for the program and some steps on how to apply. Our applications cannot be processed if we don't have full supporting documentation for the applications that are submitted. That's why we're making this video today, and that's why it's important that you make sure that we have all of these documents with your application. So the first thing you'll need is those 3 applications that we referenced, the pay stubs I discussed earlier. So 1 pay stub from before March 1st and 1 pay stub after March 1st, showing the difference in income. If you did not have a reduction in income until, let's say, April, then you could show us that pay stub that shows the difference in your pay. So if you received $500 of pay before March 1st, and now we're only receiving $250 of pay, then we would need to see the 2, and we can certify then that it was related to COVID-19. We would need a written lease. If you do not have a written lease with your landlord, please describe the agreement you have with them in writing. We'll need proof of income, so a way to document that you were unemployed. This could be your unemployment compensation verification letter or the letter that certifies how much you receive every week. And then proof of ownership by landlord. So the landlord would need to provide the deed to the home, a tax statement, or a mortgage statement so that we could certify that they are indeed the owner of the property. One more thing that is not listed up here is that additional secondary proof of residency, so a utility bill. That is outlined in the application, so I'll make sure to remind you when we get to that section. At any point, if you have questions while you're filling out this application, either as a renter or a landlord, there are two really great resources that we can connect you to. The first is York CPC's Housing Department. Our phone number is 717-654-1161. We would be happy to assist you as a landlord or as a tenant, or maybe as a tenant who needs some help explaining the program to their landlord, or vice versa. The other piece is that PHFA has a call center available to you. It's a toll-free number available from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Callers should listen for the prompt mentioning CARES assistance for renters. Once you have your application completed with the supporting documents, you can get it to us in a variety of ways. You can email it to housing@yorkcpc.org. You can drop it off at our 226 East College Avenue location, or you can put it in the mail. If you come to our location at 226 East College Avenue, we'll be able to assist you in making sure that you have a completed application with the supporting documents needed. If you decide to email or mail it, we will follow up with you as well by phone or by email. So here are the guidelines again. The people that can apply are renters or landlords who've experienced job loss or reduction in income, or landlords whose renter has received a reduction in income or experienced job loss as a result of coronavirus pandemic. The renter must document at least a 30% reduction in income since March 1st. Or alternatively, the renter must have become unemployed after March 1st as a result of COVID-19, and their income may not exceed the area median income for the county. So we've listed those limits here. And those are based on how many people are in your family. So if you have a family of 4, that's $82,200. The assistance that's provided on your behalf is up to $750 per month for a maximum of 6 months between March 1st and December 30th. The payments will be made directly to the landlord on behalf of the renter, and applications are being accepted now until September 30th. Again, we cannot emphasize enough that we can't process incomplete applications, so please make your best effort to submit an application with all the supporting documents. This way we can get your application processed more quickly and we can let you know if you've been approved. So this first application here is the renter's application. You're going to type in your name as the renter, the address, the county, when your lease is effective. So if you had a lease that was effective from July 2019 to July 2020, you would list that here. Your phone number and email, if available. We highly recommend that you list both. If we need to get in contact with you, we would like to have both options available to us. The amount of money that you pay in rent per month, any amount of late or missed rent that you had before March 1st is not eligible, so make sure that this is after March 1st. So let's say on March 1st you were able to submit $400 to your landlord, but your rent was $600, so you created a partial payment. You still owe $200. You want to include that in there. If you missed the whole month, the following month of $600, then that would be $800. So you want to make sure that that's there. Next, we're listing the months with the late or missed payments between March 1st and December 30th. A couple of important things to note here. You want to list the months out, so rather than just writing a bulk amount, you want to say March 2020, April 2020, June 2020. And if you anticipate that you're not going to be able to make your rent in the future, then you should also list those months here. So September, October, November, December, etc. Whatever you think will apply to your situation. The following section is voluntary, so if you wish to provide the information for your sex, ethnicity, and race, please do. The question about your rent being split into one or more lessee, this comes into play if you have roommates that are on the lease, because the roommates might also be eligible for the assistance if they also experience the hardships that we discussed earlier. Do you have either a written or an oral lease with your landlord? Have you and your landlord provided a lease agreement in writing and included a third-party document that can verify the residency? So if you and your landlord have an oral agreement, please make sure to document that oral agreement in writing prior to submitting your application. This will help us understand what the agreement is, how much the person is supposed to pay you per month, and when the rent is due. So landlords and tenants should work together to make sure that that information is documented in writing for us, regardless of whether your agreement is verbal. We also need, again, that third-party document, a utility bill, a canceled check with your address, a pay stub, or your identification showing that you live at that address is really important as your renter application. Do you attest that you have or will continue to occupy this residency for every month in which we apply assistance? So this is just saying that you're going to stay in the property. If we are able to provide you assistance until December, that you plan on staying in the property till December. Question number 5 talks about roommates again. So if the rent is split between a couple of lessees, if you have a $600 rent and you have 2 roommates that live in the home and each of you pays $300, then you would write that here and you would list out the people that are on the lease. Did you become unemployed after March 1st as a result of COVID-19? Please list the date of separation from your employer. If you had a reduction in hours or wages as a result of COVID-19, then you would list that here. And then again, making sure that you provided documentation for all the sources of your income. And then are you able to provide documentation of unemployment if that applies? If you didn't apply for unemployment, but you did have a reduction in hours or wages as a result of COVID-19, then we'll just have to look at those median incomes. But please apply, submit your completed application because that will help us understand if you are indeed eligible. And then you will sign and print the last page. The next 2 applications are for the landlord to complete. So the landlord will put their name, their home address, phone number, and email. We ask the landlords if they will accept a payment of direct deposit and if they will provide the banking information required so that we can get landlords paid. And if they agree to waive the right to collect rent from the tenant for the months in which care assistance is applied. So the maximum that we can provide in assistance is $750 a month. We understand that there are some properties that are more than $750 in our community. The landlord must agree to forgive the difference of the rent in order for us to be able to provide this assistance. So if it's an $800 per month rent, we're able to provide $750. It's the maximum that we can provide based on the federal guidelines. And the landlord is agreeing to forgive the $50 that are different there. There are also other options for the landlords. We recommend that you connect with our housing team to talk about what those options could be. And then you're going to list the name of the lessee here. Please make sure that the name matches the application and then the months of assistance required. Really important here to, again, list the information. So if in the example I gave earlier, the tenant paid part of March's rent. So I said they paid, I believe I said they paid $600 and the rent was $800. So they were missing out $200. So we would write that here. And then moving forward, they would list out the full amount, but make sure that you're writing the months and the year in this section. And then the total here. The maximum that can be provided per lessee is $4,500. So that's all that we could provide. Have you provided ownership documentation for the rental unit listed below? So this is where we talked about the deed or the sales contract, the tax receipt, a mortgage, so that we can verify that the landlord is actually the person that owns the property. Do you have a written or an oral agreement with your lessee? Have you provided that in writing? Have you provided the utility bill? These are questions that are similar to the renter's application. We're just verifying this again with the landlord. Can you attest that the lessee occupied the residency? So again, are they going to be living in the property for which we are providing assistance? Do you agree not to proceed with any eviction proceedings for any other rent within 60 days from the day that rent was due in the last month that assistance was provided? So if we are able to provide assistance to the tenant until the end of December, the landlord agrees not to proceed with any evictions until 60 days after the last month that assistance is provided. Do you attest that all property tax is paid up to date? And do you certify that the housing standards are met? So they're going to say yes here, and then they're going to complete this landlord property certification. So it breaks down each of the rooms in the home, and then they sign below attesting to the fact that the property is in the condition that it lists. So that is the application process. The most important piece to remember is that this is an application done together with the landlord and the tenant. If you need assistance in speaking to your landlord, or as a landlord, you would like your tenant to apply for this because you don't want to have to proceed with evictions once moratorium is lifted, or you want some additional information in either scenario, please reach out to our housing department or PHFA. Again, that information is down here for you. We also have opportunity to speak with residents or landlords who are Spanish speaking at our agency, so we can support in Spanish and English. If you have any questions, please give us a call. You can also email housing@yorkcpc.org to find out some additional information.